One-handed into the basket. Look at that for a swift response.
The Pathaks placed a big order for sweets. He said that a family was going to visit the Pathakas with a marriage proposal for Sanjay. Yesterday, Paragi went to their place and agreed to marry Sanjay. And something totally different is happening today. Rich people are unbelievable.
Did Sanjay's aunt fix his marriage with some other girl? Sanjay.
We are Premier League.
It's O'Reilly! Damsgaard and scored for Brentford.
Hello and welcome. This is the Midday News. Christmas has come and gone while teachers nationwide are yet to get their leave fare entitlements. Morbe province is not excluded from this challenging situation, as teachers have been gathering at the Morbe Provincial Education Office for 3 weeks now. The Morbe provincial government has its 2 million kina parked and is still waiting for the 7 million kina contribution from the national government. The Morbe provincial administration advised this newsroom that a decision had to be made to at least ease the situation. Therefore, only those travelling by road to the highlands, Madang or within Morbe will get the 5,000 kina entitlement. In a memo, Morbe's Provincial Program Advisor for Education, Keith Tangui, asked the teachers travelling by road to collect their confirmation letters today, Thursday, 26 December. Christmas celebrations have been abruptly cancelled for hundreds of residents in Victoria's West after a bushfire flared out of control. Yesterday afternoon, authorities issued an emergency warning for people living in Moyston and Pomonal as the Grampians fire reignited. The Fires Watch Act warning areas have also been expanded. Authorities are urging Victorians to stay alert, with fears that tomorrow could be even worse due to extreme heat and strong winds forecast for Boxing Day.
Looming danger, leading to a Christmas message no one wanted.
Residents south of Pomonal have been issued with a leave immediately warning.
This bushfire emergency comes less than a year since another blaze destroyed 46 homes near the town in Victoria's West.
Anxiety levels between the brigade members and the local community are pretty high.
Crews have battled this fire in the Grampians National Park for a week. Its steep, dry, dense terrain is making containment a challenge.
A spot fire is a chance to break out anywhere. You just don't know or when.
Today, conditions worsened. Hundreds of firefighters cancelled festive celebrations.
It means time away from family, but this is what we've got to do, and so we do it.
I'm not really thinking about Christmas. It's about people have the priority.
Lee Dawson has left her own farm to save others.
I've got plenty of anxiety, but been in it long enough to know that this is just going to happen. If I'm not around at the farm, there's no chance of me saving it.
The biggest concern:
Boxing Day.
Boxing Day. Boxing Day with those really hot temperatures, those really hot northerly winds and that westerly change that's coming through will be the concern for fire authorities right across Victoria.
Firefighters near Gisborne, north of Melbourne, are working around the clock.
You might not see anything coming towards you and you feel comfortable and you think this is burning away from me, and then all of a sudden you'll get this wind change and that finger will turn into a fire front heading towards you.
Some residents are getting out now, just to be safe.
My wife and I are in our 90s. My CFA days are long past.
There are also fears new fires could spark up and stretch resources even further. Authorities are pleading with Victorians to only travel if it's absolutely essential, and no matter where they are, to have a fire plan.
Tomorrow will be a day where every Victorian needs to be ready to take action.
As conflict in the Middle East continues, an organization in Beirut, Lebanon, which started as a charity supermarket for the elderly, is now feeding thousands. It's largely supported by donations from the Lebanese diaspora, including those from Australia. The Middle Eastern correspondent Matthew Doran speaks to one of the founders.
This is a charity organization that started in 2019. It was set up by me and my husband because we just wanted to give a small supermarket for the elders who don't have any retirement pensions in Lebanon, knowing that elders represent 11% of the total population, which is the highest number in the entire Middle East and North Africa. So we started with this small concept, and 9 months later, in 2019, the revolution started. And all of a sudden, we found ourselves completely blown away and things went out of proportion. So we had to transform Beit al-Baraka from a retirement pension, if you want, support system into an emergency relief organization. And this is when the war started, we were able to support immediately. So the pressure is having to constantly adapt to something new because, you know what, every person works in his or her own field of expertise. No one is capable of working on so many fields. So today the crises in Lebanon are the following. You have food shortage, you have medicine shortage, you have housing shortage. And this has been going on for 5 years now, since the revolution. Not that the revolution caused it, on the contrary, the revolution was just to open the eyes of everyone. And then you have the biggest problem, which is education. People don't have access to their funds in order to pay their tuition fees. So what happened with the war? First of all, people got displaced, 1.2 million. We all know this number. We've heard it so many times. But what does it actually mean? 1.2 million were displaced when the war started, but then they went back home. Most of them found no homes to come back to. So now all the 973 public schools that were transformed into shelters are now empty. And people went back to the south, to the Bekaa, to Dahi. But the people from the south and the Bekaa particularly are farmers and they're small producers. So these are people of the land who never ask for help because these are people with dignity, you know. But during the war, we were capable of managing things in a different way because we registered ourselves in the governorate of Beirut's emergency department, and it was a department set up a few days before the actual war. So we asked the governor to give us 28 schools that were transformed into shelters, exclusively operated by us, by Beit al-Baraka. And there you had more than 20,000 people that we were offering food to on a daily basis, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. These people are now a bit everywhere, in cars, in shelters within their municipalities, at relatives, whatever. But when they were in the schools, we provided mattresses, bed sheets, quilts, pillows, whatever it took to at least give them some dignity while sleeping.
How difficult was it to sort of ramp up when those services were so gravely needed, particularly those kitchens that you were running in schools? That would have had to be a pretty quick operation to get that off the ground. How difficult was that?
It was terribly difficult, but the thing is, you know, when you've lived through the August 4, 2020 explosion in the Beirut port, I think you can live through anything. The Beirut port explosion, unfortunately, was a learning curve for us to work under extreme pressure, extreme violence, extreme disorganization and find your way through and navigate through the challenges. We receive a lot of funding from private donors in Australia, and we're registered in the United States as well. It's actually a roller coaster because when the COVID started, it was a peak. Then it was another peak downwards. And then after the explosion, again, another peak, and 2 months later, a peak downwards. Now, the peak was, of course, 23 September. It was fabulous. I mean, people were mobilized everywhere. The big problem now is that, of course, when you hear ceasefire, you automatically stop donating. But the problem is that the suffering starts now because people are no longer in shelters. You still have to give them food. You still have to give them homes. You have to, the need is now bigger than ever, but donations have stopped. So there's a lot of work. The Lebanese people are known for this. We rebound very quickly. We bounce back very quickly. And we're a happy population, no matter what. So uncrushable.
A number of Australian zookeepers have taken time off from their day jobs to help orphaned bears in Southeast Asia, victims of the illegal wildlife trade.
It's back to Taronga Zoo in Sydney for these zookeepers. They recently returned from Laos, where they volunteered to help vulnerable bear cubs saved from the illegal wildlife trade.
It was also so heartbreaking because the 18 cubs that were seized and rescued from these poachers would have all had their mums killed out in the wild.
It's thought that was the world's largest single bear rescue, and the animals would have been destined for life on an inhumane bear bile farm. The illegal practice is used to extract chemicals from the gallbladders of bears to be used in traditional Chinese medicine. The Australian charity Free the Bears operates in Cambodia, Laos and Vietnam. It's just had the busiest year in its history.
Our population of bears has gone up by 25% in a single year. That places huge strain on us from all angles just to look after these animals. If this continues next year, I do really fear for the future.
Now, if you've ever been to Taronga Zoo before, then you very well may have seen the resident sun bear here, Mary. And it was working with her that inspired the zookeepers to travel to Laos to volunteer their time and their skills. Her parents were rescued 17 years ago.
There's a deep connection there, and so I feel like there's a lot of suffering in the world with animals, and sometimes you feel like there's no hope. Any way that I can help out is worth it for me.
The team at Taronga has carried out work for the animals to enhance the quality of their lives at the rescue centre.
We were predominantly making enrichment, so that involved us making things like hammocks, feeder toys. We even made a barrel raft, which is something that the bears absolutely loved, and they were able to play with it for ages.
The keepers are planning on making it an annual trip.
In sport back home, after a 4-year absence of the Gahuka off-season rugby league competition is back with the full support of the Goroka District Development Authority Chairman and MP Aye Tambua and Goroka DDA CEO Benson Imara. The games are coordinated by 10 representatives from Goroka Urban, Gahuka and Minimalo villages. According to Competition Judiciary Committee Chairman Alken Mone, Mr. Tambua approached them with the idea of reviving the competition. With PNG fielding a team in 2028 in the NRL, Goroka wants to establish a pathway for its young rugby talents to be able to enter bigger competitions and rugby development programs. The National Park in the heart of Goroka town is the only venue where matches are being played every weekend. And that ends the news update. Do join us at 6 tonight for the main news bulletin. Bye for now.